All right, so as you can see on screen, I did not like the iDubbbz video. He made a content cop on H3, and a lot of his criticisms were just, they were very weak, and they didn't have a lot of context to explain what he was talking about. Now, I won't go into everything because the video is there for you to see yourself, and there's plenty of other people explaining everything. But here's something that I haven't heard a lot of people say about the video that I think really is important and needs to be said. So, iDubbbz was trying to paint H3 as someone who he doesn't really know what he's talking about, and he's a goofy guy, especially in relation to Israel and Palestine. Because when people say from the river to the sea, and then when H3 calls that anti-Semitic, H3 doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's just a dumbass and a clown, right? Well, if people actually look up which sea and which river is being referred to in that phrase, they're gonna find out that it's the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea. Now, if you look up on a map which country is between that river and that sea, you're gonna see that Israel is there. So, if you want Palestine to spread from the river to the sea, it means you want Palestine to be over where Israel is. So, when H3 says that that's an anti Semitic statement, he is correct. And it's actually iDubbbz who doesn't know what he's talking about, or is at least pretending to not know what he's talking about. Now, that slogan has kind of died down, at least in the West. There used to be a lot more people on college campuses saying that in like protest to what Israel was doing, because Israel, they certainly went about their response to October 7th in a very rushed manner. And I think, here's my take on it. I think rushed is literally the best way to describe it, because it seemed like they didn't want to be seen as weak, and they just bombed the fuck out of everybody thoughtlessly. And they continued doing it instead of stopping and coming up with a plan, because they didn't want to be seen as like regretful or doing anything wrong. Because if you stop your plan and say, well, this is not something we should do something else, well, then you're admitting to guilt. And in that case, you're admitting to mass murder. So they obviously didn't want to stop, even though stopping would be the right thing to do. But here's the problem, and this is a huge problem. Recently, Trump said that Hamas needs to return all the hostages, and if they don't do it within a certain amount of time, then Israel can do whatever they want. And Hamas had the opportunity to just return the hostages and no longer like fucking sacrifice their people for the cause. Instead, they chose to continue without like not complying, which obviously led to Israel continuing to bomb. Now, when people are that fucking evil and selfish and just married to an ideology, it's so tricky and complicated to know how to deal with them. Some people try and compare this to like the British and the Irish, but the Irish never had a fucking complete and total hatred of the British to the point that we're willing to sacrifice our own people to make sure that all the British die or whatever. And it seems like Hamas, they hate Israel so much that they're willing to kill their own to make sure that Israel is destroyed, or like Iran starts to say no more of this shit. We're gonna start a war with Israel. That's what it looks like Hamas is doing, because if it's not that, then it's even less logical than the fucking lack of logic that they're having right now. Yeah. So obviously I don't understand Hamas's decision making. In terms of Israel, I think that they are terrified to look like to admit to wrong. Which obviously they need. It's Benjamin Netanyahu. He needs to step down, and someone else needs to take over that operation. He needs to admit to wrong and just accept it, because like his life is not more valuable than all the people he's killing. I don't fucking know how to deal with Hamas though, because they just seem like they want the destruction of Israel at any cost. And even if that cost is their friends and family, which is like, yeah, obviously that is fucking evil. So this kind of went way off topic from the iDubbbz video, but it's certain stuff like that people, if they didn't know any better, they would think that iDubbbz is just completely correct in everything he's saying. And there's many points where he's just not. But that to me felt like a more serious one, where he's trying to paint Ethan as a fucking moron, but he's misleading people in order to achieve that goal. And on a very serious subject too. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching. iDubbbz did not return to glory. He reaffirmed that he's a fucking, I don't know. He just doesn't have it anymore. I don't know if he ever will. I hope he does. I try and hope for everyone to be able to redeem themselves and whatever, but with iDubbbz, it's like people are fucking screaming what is wrong with his videos, and he's just not listening. I don't know, when you try and tell someone over and over again where they're going wrong and they don't listen, it gets disheartening and it makes you want to give up. And that's where I'm at with iDubbbz, where I'm tired of waiting for iDubbbz to wake up. Unless he makes a miracle video in a few months that fixes all this, I think the age of Content Cop is officially over. Thanks for watching, guys.